Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I used to do a lot of videos as like a public service where I talk about scams. And I understand that my audience is so sophisticated and intelligent, I don't need to warn you about the scams. However, we all know that one person in our family who doesn't understand, what it means to like hold down the shift key while pressing a letter. The what key now? So if you know somebody who is technologically declined, you might want to keep this in mind, that these kinds of things can happen. They won't happen to you, but they could happen to somebody you know. So make sure that you pay attention to those people in your family. And this, what I'm talking about, is a scam on Facebook. Now, scams on Facebook, you say, Steve, next thing you know, you're going to tell us that there are fish in the ocean. No. Here's the thing. Again, if you have a Facebook presence, you may already know about this. And I've talked before, like, Facebook Marketplace, which is just a pool of scams. But this one here is an email that I got. And this is the first time I've gotten this email. Now, I've gotten this message through Facebook. This is the first time I got this as an email. And so I'm going to let you know right now, I got this email. It is a scam. And if you get it, you should spot it immediately as a scam. But you need to tell your friends and families, like I said, the ones who are not so computer literate, that they need to watch out for things like this. And don't panic, don't respond. Before you do anything, double check it or speak to somebody who knows these things. So the subject line of the email, which by the way was sent to an old email address of mine that is not affiliated with my Facebook page, says, important notice, deactivation pending review from Meta for Business. Now you go, Steve, Meta for Business, that's related to Facebook, right? Yes, it is. But of course, anybody can claim they're sending an email from anywhere. Date, today, time, 6:40 a.m. And then there's actually a box that says unsubscribe. I can unsubscribe from your spams. Let me guess that will do nothing. And the body of the text says, this is the Meta Pro team. We've noticed some posts on your Facebook page that might be considered misleading under our policies. Meta respects your right of expression and your desire to conduct business on the internet. We've initiated the procedure to deactivate your account according to decision number 815-885-936, Well, please reach out to us through our messaging app within the next 24 hours so that we can discuss collaborative solutions to resolve this issue. And then there is actually an internet address that appears to be some sort of messenger thing. But of course, you don't click on anything. Don't click on anything. You can ignore this. This is a scam. So for instance, just so you know, I've got several Facebook pages because I've got the one that I set up for me. I've got a couple set up for things like books I've written or things I've written about. And so when they say we're complaining about your Facebook page, it immediately shows me they don't know, oh, this guy's got more than one page. And they didn't identify what page it was or what I posted. And now I'll admit it's not uniform, but generally speaking, when somebody actually is legitimately coming after you and saying, hey, look, you did something wrong, they will say, here's what you did wrong and here's where you did it. They're not going to send you a blanket thing that just says, some of your posts, plural, might be considered misleading. Did somebody complain? Or did your AI spot that? So here's one of the things I have to tell you is that if you look at the return address, it says from Meta for Business, but the actual email address is a Hotmail address with the suffix for France. So it's a name at hotmail.france, basically, .fr. I think that's France. With my luck, it's like Fredonia or something. But my point is simply this. I don't think that Facebook would be using a Hotmail address out of France. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Likewise, if you hover your cursor over these other things, you'll see that they are not what they appear to be. And that's the other thing you have to tell people. So I've known people who said, hey, I got this email from my bank It's got all the logos and stuff on there, and I clicked on it. Next thing you know, someone's in my bank account emptying out all my funds. And if you looked at the email and hovered your cursor over something without clicking on it, you'd see, oh, by the way, this isn't sending you to your bank. It's sending you to some other website that's spoofing your bank, but it is, of course, hosted in another continent, someplace far, far away. And so I told people that, by the way, when you get an email at 6:40 in the morning, you don't have to respond and panic right away. You can stop and look at it and go, okay, does this make any sense? Maybe I should make some phone calls if I'm still genuinely confused. And I've mentioned before, the bank one is particularly interesting because I still get those almost every single day where somebody emails me and it goes, this is your bank. We've got a problem with your account. We're going to lock your account unless you log in immediately and change your password. And of course, if you fall for it, you click on their thing. It takes you to their website, which looks like a bank. And then you go type in your username and password, and you do that, and it goes, there's still a problem. So while you're messing with that, they then take your username and password and go back over to your bank, and then they get in your account and they take all your money. And by the time you figure this out, you made a phone call to somebody you know, your money is gone. So you have to tell people that that's a problem and that's a possibility. But the funny part is that I have bank accounts at a couple different banks. And I get these things every single day from banks I don't bank with. But you see what they're doing. They're literally sending the thing this morning to Standard Federal Bank, and they're going to send out 100 million emails, spams, that say your Standard Federal Bank account is being locked up because of suspicious activity. What percentage of people out there actually have an account with that bank? It's very small. But the weirdest part of all, and I'm not making this up for dramatic purposes, this is 100% true. I once went to my bank and made a deposit, came home, and 10 minutes later, I got my daily, this is your account balance problem, your bank, suspicious activity, and it was spoofed from my actual bank. It was one of those coincidences. And so the point is that these things, because they're doing such large numbers, will occasionally hit somebody who goes, oh, that's my bank. I was just there. What's the problem? And of course, I went and looked, and all of the links take you someplace else that has nothing to do with my bank. And I'll also tell you that a very good friend of mine got a computer, a brand new computer. And while he was booting it up and doing all of the startup processes, one of the first messages he got when he hooked up the internet was, there's a problem with your computer, which seemed logical to him because he was setting up the computer for the first time. It was just a coincidence. And luckily, he had I believe it was a grandson who came in and straightened this whole thing out. And again, like I said, we all know people in our lives, friends or family, that need to be told these things and then also to understand them. And I've mentioned before other examples of that where, remember the phone call? I got it a dozen times, but the phone call is they go, hi, this is it's either the FBI or the Department of Justice or some official sounding designation. And they say, if you get on the phone and talk to them, they'll tell you, they'll go, yeah, your car, a car registered to you was found burning on the Texas-Mexico border, and your social security number is associated with that. So we've shut down your social security number, and we're going to issue an arrest warrant for you unless you do the following things. And they're going to ask you for a bunch of information. They're going to ask you for a bunch of information so they can steal it and do bad things with it. Sometimes they'll ask you for money. And I remember I had someone call me and go, Steve, I just got a phone call from the IRS. I said, no, you didn't. And it was a scam. And he said, but Steve, the caller ID showed the IRS. Again, spoofing technology allows that. You can spoof anybody and be anybody you want to be. And the caller ID is meaningless. And so if you got a phone call from the IRS and you're curious about it, go to the IRS's own website and type in, will the IRS ever phone me? And see what they say. I used to explain what that was all about, but I had people say, Steve, occasionally the IRS will call you. Well, probably if you call them and ask them to call you back, but they're not going to call you until you're going to be arrested because your social security number was affiliated with a car found burning on the Texas-Mexico border. And I've never quite understood. I'd love to know who invented that story. It's such a bizarre thing to think up that we found a burning car associated with your social security number. My social security number is not associated with any of my cars. It's just not. those two never get together. So anyway, this is the latest one. It is apparently a notice from Meta for Business, and this is the Meta Pro team noting Facebook posts that are misleading, and they're going to have to shut down or deactivate my account unless I reach out to them through this scam and let them abuse me for a while. And of course, you can just ignore this and throw it away, block the email address if you like, but just ignore it, and eventually they'll replace it with some other scam, which hopefully will at least be more entertaining, because this one's kind of boring. So there you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. All growth depends upon activity. There's no development physically or intellectually without effort, and effort means work.